What's up, Steven? I see you.
Mhm.
That's my phi brother.
Yeah.
So everybody who's joining, thank you so much. If you want to drop in the chat where you're dialing in from, where you're calling in from,
Favorite snacks?
and your favorite snack. I got mine right here, the red bar. I think Nimai likes this one too.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite flavor too.
The
That one's my
oatmeal.
favorite flavor.
I always appreciate the person who adds like the flaming hot Cheetos, right? Like,
Welcome to a well-being webinar, Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
all right.
Got Long Beach in the house. I used to live in Long Beach.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started here. So, hello everyone, and welcome to today's session, another in our continued series of Snack and Chats. My name is Gary Batara, and I'm the Senior Director of Marketing here at Garden and General Hype Man for our presenters. We're very excited about today's session. We'll be discussing with two very special guests how both companies and individuals can better support their health, fitness, and well-being. Before we get started, we're somewhat known here for our active chats, so please feel free to add in any questions, commentary. We'll do our best to address them or ensure we follow up afterwards. And if you miss anything, don't worry. We'll be sending around the on-demand recording tomorrow. We're always grateful that you guys have taken some time out of your day to be here with us. And just for joining, you'll be entered to win a few of our famous snack boxes, including our latest edition of the plant-based box. So let me kick things off here by introducing one of today's presenters, Garden's very own and founding team member, Justin David Carl. He's affectionately known as Dragon by us here in the Garden family, friends, and coworkers, as it captures his fiery spirit and magical approach to life. He's also an up-and-coming holistic well-being and fitness influencer. He actually has a tagline. I specifically can't say it because it would just... Yeah, I couldn't be the one to say that, but full of energy, super excited to get things started. So welcome, Justin.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gary. And before we get started, I just want to take a quick moment to pause and give a little bit of gratitude. First and foremost, to Nimai for gracing us with his time, his energy, his wisdom, his thoughts. Secondly, and equally to the audience, to everyone who's joining now live, taking time out of your day to invest in your health, your fitness, and your well-being journey. We're so grateful to have you here. And then, of course, to both Garden and Veg Nutrition for providing this opportunity of learning and growth for everyone, because without these two amazing companies, we wouldn't be able to offer this for free. So thank you all so much. And for those of you, I'm sure most of you know Nimai, but if you don't, a little bit about Nimai. Essentially, he's on a continuous journey of reinvention and evolution. So he's been a mechanical engineer turned professional vegan bodybuilder who has graced the cover of Muscle and Fitness. He was a featured athlete in the James Cameron hit documentary, actually one of the most viewed documentaries of all time. To this date. He's one of the athletes in that incredible movie about plant-based athletes. He's a podcaster. He's an entrepreneur. He is one of the co-founders of Veg Nutrition, as well as veganfitness.com. And really, like, he's a holistic well-being and fitness content creator, just really inspiring people to live better. And even right now, I just got to throw it out there, he's even getting certified in yoga right now, not to necessarily teach a class, but just to deepen his own well-being journey. So with that said, and before I pass it over to Nimai, why are we all here? So the mission of Garden is to empower people to live healthy and blissful lives. My personal mission is to inspire people to design and truly live a life worth living for. And I I know Nimai is on a very similar mission. And then thirdly, and probably most importantly, is we all spend a third of our life at work. And if our work isn't empowering our health, our fitness, and our well-being, then we're potentially wasting the most important gift of all, which is our life. So kind of with that said, I would love to for Nimai to jump in and actually tell us about his humble beginnings as a mechanical engineer, because most of you, well, I don't really know. Some of you may know his backstory, some of you may not, but Nimai definitely has his own journey of pain and struggle through trying to find his own fitness and health and well-being at work. So with that said, Nimai, I'm going to pass it over to you to tell a little bit about your backstory.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Justin, and Gary too. I really appreciate the introduction, and just want to say, hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today and spending, your lunchtime with us and really showing up for yourself. If you showed up to this live stream, that means that you're interested in bettering yourself in some way. So I just want to acknowledge you and validate you guys. So really appreciate you guys spending time with us today. So I guess I'll make it brief, just because I can go on and on about my backstory. But I was originally from Mississippi, went to school in Louisiana at LSU, and then graduated with my mechanical engineering degree, and accepted a job offer out in California, in Bakersfield, California. I don't know how many of you all are familiar with Bakersfield, but it is very similar to actually the place where I came from, which was the South, which was the place I was trying to move away from. And anyway, so I accepted a job from an oil and gas company, and basically helped manage risk. I helped manage risk environmentally as well as personnel. And just not to bore you guys, I made sure things didn't blow up. So that was kind of my role within the company. I worked within the mechanical integrity department. And what I quickly found after beginning work as an engineer was that it did not necessarily fulfill me as much as I had hoped. It checked the boxes for me. It definitely provided the financial stability that I was seeking, and even the title that I was seeking. I can honestly, humbly say that now, that I was really seeking that validation from earning a title and having the prestige behind that. And but for whatever reason, it was stimulating, but it didn't give me that sense of fulfillment, that sense of purpose. And what I found was that I was spending a majority of my time, I had free time in Bakersfield, and I just found myself in the gym. I found myself really starting to work on myself and really getting interested in bettering myself in every possible way, because I had so much free time and there wasn't much other things to do in Bakersfield apart from maybe drinking alcohol and I don't know what else there was to do, but that seemed to be the most common thing that people like to do on the weekends and in their spare time. So I chose to redirect that and use my energy to work on myself. And eventually I just really fell in love with fitness. Like I started going to the gym every single day, and then really diving deep into nutrition to see how I can optimize my body, optimize my health, my spirit, my mind, everything. And that is actually when I became plant-based. The more research I did, the more it made sense for me to eliminate all animal products from my diet. And ironically, at that time, I had decided to do my first ever bodybuilding show. And this is coming from a guy that laughed at the thought of ever stepping on stage and, shirtless and flexing in front of a crowd of people or a crowd of judges. And I fell in love with it right away. After stepping on stage, I had really good success on my first show, and immediately people came to me and started asking me what I was doing, how I was training, what I was eating, what mentality I had to have in order to win a bodybuilding show. And the rest is history. I started sharing my story online. I started posting motivational content and sharing kind of like what goes on in my head whenever I train, how I train, what I eat, and my social media started growing. And eventually in 2017, I left mechanical engineering altogether to pursue my passion of helping other people really, not only become healthier and spread a message of a plant-based lifestyle, but also to reclaim their health, to really empower people to know what it feels like to feel healthy from the inside. and not just look healthy from the outside and look in shape and, aesthetic from the outside, but to really feel it from the inside out. And it creates such a difference in your life, and it overflows into everything else that you do. So that is what I do now. And as Justin said, I have several different businesses, from a plant-based supplement company and also a coaching company where I help people transition from a plant-based, maybe a more traditional diet, to a plant-based lifestyle while optimizing their performance and their health. So that is a very condensed version of my story, and I'll hand it back over to you, Justin.
Yeah, and I'll just mention, if you guys want more backstory on Nimai, he has a great podcast interview with Rich Roll, as well as he's been on some other great ones, Plant Proof. So if you want more Nimai backstory, there's definitely plenty out there. But really, we want to focus on two lenses today, and really bring some value to everyone who decided to show up today. So we're going to look at it in two parts. First, we're going to look at the individual. How do we together support our individual health, fitness, and well-being journey? And then secondly, how does a company support its most valuable asset, its people? How does that company support their health, their fitness, and their well-being? Because just like Nimai was just saying, like, when you feel good, when your body feels good, your mind feels good, your heart and your spirit feels good, like, you bring so much more to your work, and you're really so much more to the world. So we're going to look at it in two kind of lenses, and essentially we'll cover it all. And if we have time, we will do Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions that you want answered, drop them into the Q&A. We're not promising, it just depends, because an hour is short. Nimai's got to potentially fly back to LA because he's calling in from Colorado. That's why he's wearing a beanie. It's a bit cold there. I think he was up hiking a snowy mountain this morning, if you check his Instagram. And he did leg day. So
we got a busy day for me.
we got a total plant-powered beast with us right now. So we're going to harness some of his wisdom and some of his energy to cover these two lenses. So what can the individual do? And these are some of the topics that I would really like to hear from Nimai about. Really, and I'll throw in some pieces too. But Nimai, starting with kind of the individual, what can the individual do to support their health, their fitness, and their well-being journey, with work in mind, with a family in mind? We're not all like, full-time, professional fitness people. But you were there at one point where you had to really do both, right? Where you really had to create your health and your fitness and your well-being, despite working, in an environment maybe that wasn't so supportive.
Yeah. And I just want to reemphasize that it doesn't have to be either or. You don't have to be a full-time health and fitness professional to be in shape. I remember whenever I first started working in the corporate setting, that was when like I mentioned earlier, is when I really got into health and fitness. And I had to figure out a way how to do both at the same time, because the work environment isn't always the most conducive for your health and fitness goals, because you could be sitting down all day. Oftentimes if you have other people bring in snacks or unhealthy treats, it's the only thing available, and you'll find yourself in the break room just snacking on the most processed sugary foods you can get your hands on. But the first thing that I always tell anybody whenever it comes to their health and fitness goal is setting a goal and really having a clear vision on what it is that you want to achieve. If you don't have a direction, then oftentimes you'll find yourself wandering and not going anywhere fast. So the first thing that you should do is really just, and your goal doesn't have to become a professional bodybuilder. That's not what I'm saying here. It could be as simple as lose 3 pounds. It could be as simple as drink more water. It could be as simple as, moving your body for 20 minutes a day. Anything that you can clearly define gives you a better sense of direction, and that way you can work backwards from it. So that would be the first tip that I have for everybody. And if you're just starting off on your fitness journey, it's important to not overwhelm yourself. There's so many considerations, and there's so much information out there on, how to lose weight or how to gain muscle. What I would suggest is setting the bar really low for yourself if you find it hard to stick to your goal. If you find yourself at the beginning of the year, year after year after year, setting those goals, and then by January 14th, or maybe even before then, you've already abandoned them and you're no longer, you've given up on yourself. Maybe feelings of guilt or shame come up because you weren't able to follow the commitment that you made for yourself. So what's really important here is to build momentum. Right. And the best way to do that is to set the bar very low. That could even mean something as simple as just bringing a water bottle to work and just making sure that you fill this up 2 times a day. Like, that's a great start, staying hydrated. The other thing could be maybe just moving your body a few minutes per day, whether that's, during your lunch break or even after work or before work. Just anything that you can get that little dopamine hit of like checking off the box and giving yourself credit. Like, I did that. And the more you show up and the more you're able to accomplish the little goals, then it builds up and it compounds to where eventually over time, you'll start getting more motivated. You're getting more inspired. You'll start to see results. And then that's when the results really start to shower in and shower down on you, because you've built that momentum. But if you lose that momentum, then you'll have to start all over again. And this is also something that I really want to emphasize, is to, even if you do that, just remember, don't beat yourself up about it. Slipping up is different than giving up. So I just want you to remember that.
Yeah, that's really great. And I couldn't agree more. It's like set achievable goals, set realistic goals. Like, you and I had a conversation about this, and if your goal is 10 pounds, like, let's do 10 pounds over 10 weeks. And then one of the key things that you really pointed out to me, in one of our talks is track your progress, right? Because if you don't know where you started, where you are, and what, ultimately where you're trying to go, then like you're never going to get there. And then if you're not tracking your progress to actually kind of like see how far you've come, then you don't realize, like, holy cow, like I've already lost 5 pounds. I'm like halfway there. And you may even be ahead or slightly behind on your 10-week goal. But like, if you're tracking that, then you're getting feedback, which, feeds into the goal setting. And, this all stuff Nimai has, like, coached me and many other people on. It's really important to have a goal, whether big or small. And in terms of building momentum, one of the things that I really wanted you to talk about, Nimai, is some of your morning routine stuff, because I think one of the reasons that you've stayed so healthy and fit and really, truly full of well-being over the years, even during your time in the corporate workspace, is because you've always had a great morning routine. So if you could speak a little bit to that, because, I think a lot of people, we're kind of coming to the end of January. Those goals are slipping. Those resolutions are slipping. So me and Nimai are here to like help bring you back up.
Yeah, I think that I've been, I guess the word is blessed to have a job early on, or a career early on, that required me to be at work for 6:30 a.m. And I had like a 30-minute commute to go to work. So I had to wake up really early. And that just became a habit for me, is just waking up early. And there's actually a lot of benefits to waking up early, because you get that time to yourself. Most of us, if we wake up from an alarm clock 20 minutes before we have to leave for work, it just gives you enough time to rush to shower and get ready, maybe grab a snack, and then rush off to work so you're not late. But when you give yourself that extra time in the morning, especially, to wake up, really dedicate it to filling up your own cup before the world around you starts taking your energy or distracting you. And there's so much power in that. And I started doing my morning routine years ago, and over the past year, especially in 2020 during the lockdown, I really kind of fine-tuned it. And even if it's just an hour a day, that hour a day and having a little bit of a structure to your morning creates so much freedom in the rest of your day. And just like anything else, like we talked about, building that momentum, doing it, the first time you wake up early, you might not want to do it. And then over time, eventually you look forward to it. You're like, oh, I got to go to bed early because I have to wake up and really fill my own cup up. And for me, what that looks like is I wake up without an alarm clock, early, maybe 5:45, maybe 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock, somewhere around there. I shower. First thing I do is I find a quiet spot. I have a little meditation spot that I like to use in my house and also on my rooftop. And I'll just be still for 20 minutes minimum. And there's actually studies that show many benefits of just finding stillness for 20 minutes a day, reducing cortisol levels, improving mood, also mental clarity. It allows you to really tap in with what's going on inside, because we have so many distractions around us every single day. The moment you wake up, chances are you check your phone, and then immediately your mind goes to that place. But when you're able to sit with yourself and really just tune in, then you can kind of assess what's going on internally and seeing what comes up, and then objectively observe it. And that way you can come from a place of responding rather than reacting. And it's really important to not live a reactive life, and really, set the tone for the rest of your day. And after I meditate, I'll normally do some type of movement, whether that's yoga or stretching, or maybe just getting outside for, to watch the sunrise or something like that. And yeah, I just really encourage you, whatever that looks like for you, is to just start. I know many of us don't have the luxury of having that extra hour, but if you could find the time, if you could really, just find, even if it's 20 minutes to wake up earlier and dedicate it to yourself, you'll be surprised how much more freedom you'll have throughout the rest of your day. And
Yeah.
one more thing I also want to mention before we get a little bit further is really setting a vision for who it is that you want to be. I think this is really, really important. You are who you are right now, and obviously everybody that's here listening to this wants to better themselves in some way. So I just encourage you guys and invite you guys to create a very clearly defined image of who that person is, who that person you are becoming, who that person that you're stepping into every single day. What does that person look like physically? What does that person act like? What does that person feel like? What are their behaviors? What are their habits? What's their personality? You can even create an alter ego if you have to, and show up as that alter ego. Say, what would Dragon do? That's Justin's alter ego, so having that, and having that vision that you're working towards every day is so powerful, because you can start to embody that person today, and then eventually it just becomes a way of being. And just remember that every day is an opportunity to close the gap between the person you are now and the person you are becoming.
Yeah. So good. Yeah. I highly encourage everyone to start to test and play around with the morning routine if you don't have one. I have a pretty extensive one that I've built up, like seriously built up over the last 7 years. So similar to Nimai, I get up super early. I meditate, I do visualization, I do affirmations, I do yoga. I'll even do I'll be the spiritual hipster I am, go put my feet in the dirt outside in my yard and do some earthing, and really connecting with myself. And just like Nimai said, it's I almost live oftentimes I get up so early, I live a full day before I even start my work. And I didn't start like that. It wasn't oh, I'm suddenly I'm gonna get up at the crack of dawn and create this amazing morning routine. No, I built it piece by piece over years, and it's always evolving. And I know Nimai's is too. I follow Nimai on Instagram, and I've seen over even the last year his own morning routines evolve. So there's no right way to do a morning routine. And there's no set way to do it for a lifetime. It's build the morning routine that really gives you the momentum for not only the person that you are today, but like Nimai said, that vision of that person that you want to be tomorrow. So that's some really great points, Nimai. Thank you so much for bringing up the vision part, because that's like comes even before goal setting, and we forgot to put that like on the bullets. So let's talk about environment, right? Like, how do we, as an individual, set up our environment, physical, mental, and socially, virtually or in person, to really set ourselves up for success in 2021 and beyond?
Yeah, environment is very, very important, because that is what really allows you to either run into challenges or allows you to thrive when it comes to your health and fitness goals. Your physical environment, that includes, everything from what you keep around you, what you keep stocked in your kitchen, what you keep in your snack drawer. If it's around you and you buy it and it's in your house, you're gonna eat it. Like, it's inevitable. It's there, you're going to eat it. So there's things that you can do to preemptively kind of make sure that your environment is setting you up for success and not for failure. So that even starts whenever you go to the grocery store, or what are you keeping stocked in your house? If like many of us now are working from home or working remotely, there's a lot of distractions around us. I work from home as well and remotely, and I find myself oftentimes getting distracted. And I had to create an environment that was specifically for a certain task. And that was like getting my computer work done and not kind of crossing over the place where I eat and getting my work done. Like, have a dedicated space for your work and make sure that it's clear, it's inspiring, it's motivating, and all of those things will really help you stay on track from a physical perspective, because it's going to keep you in that zone, it's going to keep you in that flow, and it's going to keep you focused. So I just encourage everyone and invite everyone to take a look at your workspace and just see if you can identify what are the distractions that are around you. Because they do add up, and those little, even if it means taking your phone away, that's a big one for a lot of people, is just like putting your phone on silent if you can, and just putting it away, even putting a timer on it and say, okay, I'm just going to really dedicate myself to work for 20-30 minutes before I check my phone again. And, if you're like me, I work on social media. So I find myself working, but then also giving myself permission to like mindlessly scroll. So this is also something that rolls over into the mental elements, is like, what are you consuming? What's in your environment that you're ingesting, whether that's, the TV, the news, people you follow on social media, the websites that you visit. All of those things are a form of ingestion, and they make you, they can either inspire you or make you feel a certain type of way, maybe uninspired. So I really just, again, encourage you guys to audit, what it is that you're consuming every single day and how it's making you feel from a mental perspective. Is it motivating you? Are the people that you're following making you feel good about yourself, or do you find yourself, maybe judging unknowingly or judging yourself because of what you see online? And just remember that, this is very important to remember, is that anything that you see online is highly curated. It's a highlight reel. Nobody's posting their failures. They're only posting the creme de la creme of what, their life's highlight reels. So just keep that in mind as well. And even from a social element, we are the average of the 5 people we hang around the most. And like Justin mentioned earlier, we spend a third of our life at work. So we spend a lot of time around our coworkers. So the interactions that we have with our coworkers, if we can make them healthy, healthy interactions and build the relationships with our coworkers, that's also going to set you up in an environment for success, for teamwork, for productivity, for creativity, because there'll be multiple, creative minds kind of formulating ideas. And those are so important when it comes to, not only an individual and enjoying who you work with from your peers, but also from management, curating or creating an environment that, that invites that type of creativity and camaraderie.
Yeah. So I couldn't agree more. Like, Nimai and I have had like deep talks about this, but you really are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And there's some really simple like hacks. I was joking with Nimai the other day. I was like, one of the ways I keep Nimai in my top 5 is I just stalk him on Instagram. So I'm taking in his energy, his presence, and like he stays in my top 5. So my average is going up as long as I'm keeping Nimai, in my top 5. So even if you're, maybe your coworkers or some of your family aren't really like pulling for that higher vision, you can strategically hack your top 5 by listening to their podcast, reading their books, following them on Instagram, etc. So don't feel like just because your physical situation, the people you're around, your work situation is holding you back, that you can't make a change, that you can't transform. Because with the beauty of the internet, like you really can, and the beauty of just so much knowledge available, but you have to curate it. You really have to curate it. And many of you have probably seen The Social Dilemma, the Netflix documentary. And one thing that I always like to point out is you have to train your social AI to feed you empowering content. Because if you eat the social junk food, it's going to just keep giving you more social junk food. So you have to literally like mute it, unfollow it, block it, and then like, comment, and share the stuff that really inspires you, and train your social media to give you the life that you want, to call for that higher vision of yourself. And really it goes with everything that you consume through your eyes, your mouth, your ears, and even on your skin. Just be conscious of what you're consuming, because you are what you consume.
Exactly. I love that. And that's such a smart way to put it, is really training your social media to show you things that inspire you and motivate you, instead of the other way around, instead of maybe distract you or unknowingly make you feel a certain type of way. And then even going back to the environment, we are, sensory beings. So our body will respond to certain types of sensory stimulations as well. So if you can set up your workspace, your environment to visually be pleasing, whether that's a poster on the wall that you look at and it makes you feel relaxed, or it makes you feel good, or it makes you feel inspired, whether that is it could be a Muhammad Ali poster, or it could be a motivational quote, or it could be a picture, an image of a beautiful sunset or something like that. Like to allow your eyes to kind of go to something and be visually stimulated in a positive way is very important. And same thing goes with like smells or something like, there's, our memory is very tightly associated with our olfactory system. So smells can really stimulate and trigger certain types of things within us. So if you have a candle that you like, or a scent or something like that, like keep that around. And whenever you're feeling stressed, light up that candle. Or if your workplace allows you to light open flames, if not, just have like a Glade plug-in or something like that. You know what I mean? But, and then same thing goes with like how you sit yourself, the ergonomics of what you're doing. I know Justin's on like a bicycle desk right now, right? So he's staying active as he's working right now. Or they even
not dancing. I'm cycling. It looks like dancing, but I'm cycling.
Yes, exactly. So these are all things that you can create an environment that really inspires you and really allows you to feel good. And when you feel good, you're more likely to be creative. You're more likely to be confident. You're going to have clarity with whatever it is that you're working on. You're going to have more patience for whoever it is that you're working with. So all of those things are very important when curating your environment.
Yeah, so true. And like, just to show you guys how nerdy I am, I'm not going to do a cross shot and show you myself like pedaling, but like I put a fitness step tracker on my ankle just so I can see how many steps I get in a day. And then, recently my coworkers were like, Justin, how many miles a week do you do on your fit desk? And I started tracking in the last 2 days. I've done over 11 miles on my bike while doing work. So like, if there's a will, there's a way. I invested in this in myself, and just because when I first, came out to Silicon Valley about 7 or 8 years ago, I made a commitment to myself that I wanted to be a really fit entrepreneur. And I've, held to that vision the whole time. And I've had to, over the years, just figure out the, different things that I had to do to make that work in my particular life, with my fiance, with my time commitments at work, etc. And it's all about designing that environment, physical, mental, social. Like I have inspiring things all over my desk, like right down here. I have a candle on my desk. I have a humidifier that I put essential oils into, to really just like create the environment, everywhere from, what I look at to what I smell, to what I feel and how my body's moving. So let's move on to really great stuff, Nimai. Thank you so much. This is really good. Let's talk about work-life balance and actually becoming a master of your schedule. Like I know we've kind of touched on that a little bit, but in terms of the kind of morning routine, but like I know you were telling me like what you used to do on your lunch breaks, and there's some other things that I think you and I both do. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, I would say definitely. You can tell a lot about a person by their schedule and their bank account. How they spend their money and how they spend their energy really shows you their priorities. So I would say really audit your schedule and what it looks like. And I know that not everybody has the same life, that you have your commitments. Many people have children. I'm speaking from a place of my own experience, but I don't have any children, or I'm not married and I don't have those types of commitments. And I understand that. But at the same time, when you really take charge of your schedule, you can create freedom to do the things that are your priority, such as prioritizing your health and wellness. And if I encourage you guys to really block out, like schedule everything from a 15-minute interval, that way you can actually schedule in time to, just meditate or go on a walk for 15 minutes or something like that. Just really be proactive about how you're spending your time, because it is our most valuable asset. And many people say, they come and say that we don't have time. I don't have time to do this. But in reality, once you start really looking at things, I was like, oh, you spent an hour watching or an hour and a half watching Game of Thrones. And then you say you don't have any time to do the things that you want to do, or the things that make you happy, or the things that like your hobbies. And even finding time within your day, even at work. I remember whenever, I was working in the corporate world, I had to be at work for 6:30 a.m. every single day. And I would wake up early. That way I could meal prep for myself. I would cook breakfast and lunch and every single meal. That way I went into work knowing exactly what I was going to be eating. It would keep me on track, so I was less likely to go and munch on things in the snack room, because there was never any healthy options in the snack room. I would also make sure to bring my water bottle every single day and fill it up first thing in the morning. That way I would give myself a target. At that time I was bodybuilding, so I was the guy that was walking around with a gallon jug of water. And the first thing I would do when I would get to work is I would make a cup of coffee, and then I would fill up my whole gallon of water. And I would just tell myself, I was like, this is my goal. I have to finish this before the end of the day. I got off work I think at 4 o'clock or something like that. But even during work, on my lunch break, because I brought my meals with me every single day, I could eat them at my own leisure. And then my lunch break, I would have open to do something for me. And I worked in the mountains. I worked in an oil field in Bakersfield, and we were, in an oil patch. It was in the mountains. And I would get outside and I would go on a walk for 20, 30 minutes. And I bring a change of clothes. If you're working from home and you have that break in between, and maybe you live in like an apartment building where they have stairs, you can walk up and down the stairs for 20 minutes. Or maybe if you're working at home, you can step aside and do something like, some mindfulness techniques, or maybe even some yoga, something to really dedicate to yourself. Each act of even eating is it can be a form of like self-love. So just remember that, like, even when the food that you're consuming is either feeding disease or fighting disease. So just really doing things and scheduling it in to where it's setting you up for success, like we mentioned earlier. And that is when you really become a master of your own schedule. There's no unexpected turns. I mean, there's always going to be things that show up in life, but at least you can be proactive about the things that you can control. And that's very, very important. It's very empowering as well. So really, I invite everyone that's listening right now to start blocking off your schedule in 15-minute increments and see where you can fit in those pockets to where you can dedicate to yourself, whether it's your fitness goal or maybe something else. Maybe it's a hobby that really is fulfilling. And one of my favorite quotes of all time, and I resonate with this so much, and it was one of the reasons why I quit my job back or left my career in 2017 and switched it, is don't go work for a company for 8 hours and then go home and not work on yourself. Like, working on yourself is the best return on investment you could ever make. So I just want to remind you all of that.
Yeah. And, the CEO of our company and founder, Michael, he, when I first started working with him, like he said this thing to me that I'll never forget, is like, you bring your whole self to work. So like, if you're working on yourself as well, like, you're going to show up at work so much better than if you're just working at work. So couldn't agree more there. And like, in my own life, I work Monday through Friday in Silicon Valley, like crazy busy. I literally block off on my calendar workout times. Like, sometimes I, will do it early in the morning before everything gets done. But over the last year, I've had to resort to working out in my garage because of the shelter in place, and it's freaking cold. And so now sometimes I do it in my lunch hour because it's too freaking cold in the morning, and it's at least a little bit warmer in the middle of the day. So I'll literally block that out. And I think one of the important things, two important things to mention is you don't have to be like insane about your schedule, but like, schedule the important things, like, you don't have to necessarily schedule, and I think what Nimai said about 15-minute increments, to do like an assessment of where you're at. If you feel like you don't have the time to invest in your health, fitness, and well-being, you need to do like almost like an audit. Where is your time going? And then once you figure that out, schedule, your hour of power onto your calendar, wherever that is, whether that's before work, before your kids get up, whether that's in the middle of the day at the lunch hour or after. And a really important thing, I think, for everyone is make sure that your well-being routines are fun for you. Because if they're not fun, you're not going to stick with them. If you don't like going to the gym and lifting weights, don't lift weights. Like, go rollerblading, go hike, go walk, dance, whatever makes you super happy in terms of your movement. There's like there's no right way to move. It's like, what's the right way for you that really inspires you and brings fun to you? And there's millions of things to try. And, there's also like seasons of life. And one season of life, maybe you really love doing bodybuilding, and then another season of life you want to like rollerblade or go bicycling or whatever. And Nimai's like up snowboarding every morning right now. Like, that's totally new in his life. I mean, I'm sure he snowboarded before, but we all change kind of what we're doing, what brings us excitement. And I think it's really important for us to follow our highest excitement, which Nimai's a big proponent of. So real quick, before we talk about what companies can do, let's talk about a couple work, fitness, and well-being hacks. I mean, we kind of mentioned the water bottle. Obviously people know I'm on a fit desk right now. And a lot of people in the comments are saying, take walking meetings. And I couldn't agree more. Like, any meeting that I can take on my phone, like, I will literally dial into the conference call and I'll just walk my neighborhood while I'm on the call, if I don't need to be on screen. So that's a really great one, kind of now that we're all shelter in place. I mean, but people, if you're stuck in like an apartment complex, you can even go like walk up and down your stairs, like while you're on a meeting. So other than the lunch power hike, the water bottle, any other kind of like fitness well-being hacks that you want to share before we talk about being your own advocate?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned it earlier as far as like bringing your own food to work, if possible, if you can really take ownership of bringing healthy food with you to eat throughout the day or at lunch. That's a really, really big component of, achieving your health and your fitness goals is nutrition. So oftentimes we'll find ourselves scrambling to get to work, not enough time to cook breakfast or eat something healthy. So we'll just grab something from the convenience store or grab whatever is the most available in a nice package. Or you don't eat, and then lunchtime rolls around and you're extremely hungry and your coworkers are going to lunch, they invite you, and you get something at your closest restaurant, whatever that may be. And again, you're not really setting yourself up for success. So I would definitely say bringing your food with you is so, so important. I can't emphasize that enough. Second one, like I mentioned earlier, hydration. Hydration is so important for all of your bodily functions. Without water, your body will start to deteriorate. It will start to have negative effects. So, and what I mentioned earlier about having a water bottle, I mentioned the gallon. That was my target for the day. That your target would be 3 liters or 3/4 of a gallon or something like that. But one of the added benefits of drinking so much water is that it forces you to get up out of your chair and walk to the bathroom. So if you're doing that, multiple times per day, you're burning a couple extra 100 calories just from drinking water. Not only is it providing the health benefits of hydration, but it's also getting you up and moving every 30 minutes or every hour, however long it may be. So I just really invite you guys to drink more water. It's so, so important. And another one is I would say this very well ties into garden, is like, if you have snacks, everyone has that snack drawer, right, that they pull from, and if you can take ownership and have healthy snacks in there. Yeah, he's got a box.
This is a plant-based box that actually features Nimai's protein from veg. So like, if you want to like make it super easy, just order a plant-based box, 100% plant-based box from Garten. Obviously, we have an everything box too if you're not ready to go fully plant-based. But we promise you that everything's curated and plant-based, delicious. So that's an easy way, but like, you're going to eat whatever you have. So,
exactly.
Like, again, like, consume consciously, purchase consciously, like, set yourself up for success. And many of Garten's clients, they send these snack boxes to their employees. So they'll literally pay for it for their employees, because a lot of our clients used to have in-office snack programs, and so now they're sending snacks straight to their employees' home office and creating that same benefit. So that's something to think about for yourself individually, and for your company, which I think segues really nicely into be your own advocate. So tell us about being your own advocate at work, and how you can do that and team up with your coworkers.
Yeah. So, I mean, depending on which company you work for, they might not have a culture that really focuses on health and wellness, but that doesn't mean that they won't. So if health and wellness is a priority, which it should be for all companies, because healthy employees mean more productivity, more creativity, more overall sense of happiness with what they do. So you can bring it to management. If there's not a wellness program or maybe some incentives that they could provide to you, bring it to your management and talk to them about it. And I guarantee that management will find a way to help facilitate that. So if they don't know that there's a demand for it, then oftentimes it'll be an afterthought, or it won't be a priority. So if you can team up with other employees at work, and even if maybe your company doesn't have enough of a budget, which I'm sure most of the companies or the employees that are tuning in here, I'm sure that your companies do. They may already have a wellness program. You can bring maybe some improvements to their wellness program or some ideas that they can work on as a team. And also teaming up really, really does make a difference. It helps with an accountability. Having an accountability partner, maybe even an accountability group chat or Slack channel or whatever it may be that can help you stay on track. So, sharing your victories with your coworkers, keeping each other accountable, it creates a sense of camaraderie. Like nothing brings you closer than, I hate to say this, but like suffering together or like working towards a goal together. It really does build that community. So, yeah, just see if you can find a few other coworkers and set a challenge or goal for yourself collectively as a group and just work towards it. And you can talk about it at work, and then eventually that'll snowball, it'll build momentum, and then you can, bring on more people and eventually maybe even create some type of program or have management say, I really like this. Let's incorporate and integrate this into our culture.
Yeah. Perfect. I totally love it. Like it's be the change that you wish to see, right? So, and then team up. Like, for example, one of the things I did at my own company, and we're a well-being company, is I organized a step challenge, multiple step challenges. And, I literally found this app back in the day that where everyone could log in and you could literally see real-time rankings of like who's doing the step challenges, like, and who's winning. And I asked my company to create prizes for the top 3 winners in the step challenges. And then like later we did this zombie challenge where it was like a step challenge where you played this like zombie game. Like, and it's amazing. If you just have a little bit of gumption, you can create an amazing workplace for yourself. And, if you're thinking about it, someone else at your company is thinking about it. So like team up and like create that environment at work that you want. And like, you can do it. Like all of us can create change in our workplace. They wouldn't have hired you and they wouldn't keep you employed if they didn't think you were valuable. So never forget how valuable you are. So in the last kind of 10 minutes, I want to talk about what the workplace leaders, and these are ideas. If you're not someone in charge of workplace culture or you're not someone in charge of employee experience, you can take these to your office manager, to your head of HR, to your chief people officer. But we want to speak to those people. So Nimai, kick us off. Kind of how do you think about like what the company can do to support people's health, fitness, and well-being?
Yeah, I mean, as a CEO of several companies, like it really does start with leadership. Creating a culture that prioritizes health and wellness is so important and so underrated. Most people just only look at KPIs. They look at, what their employees are producing, but they never, they don't focus on how they want their employees to feel. When we feel good, when we feel healthy, we have a certain sense of clarity, conviction, and inspiration. When you can really tap into your body and you're feeling great, that is when you're the most creative. When your mind is elsewhere, when you're stressed out about whatever may be stressing you out, or maybe you don't feel great in your body because you haven't been treating your body very, very well, then chances are your awareness, your focus, it's going to be really difficult to focus if you're tired all the time, if you don't have energy, if you're not sleeping well. All of those things play a part into how you feel. So from a leadership perspective, you should consider that. You should ask yourself, how do I want my employees to feel at work? Do I want them to feel inspired? Do I want them to feel motivated? Do I want them to feel good about the work that they're doing? And use that as the North Star for how you create a culture within your company. And then also from a leadership perspective, you should also embody it, because if you're not following it, if you're not living that way, then you're not going to inspire your employees to live that way either. So I feel like as management, as maybe board members or whoever it may be that's within your company, you should really remember that people are watching you and they are following your lead. So if you can really take ownership of that and embody those characteristics, then it'll naturally start to trickle into your employees as well.
Yeah. Again, it's like your people are your most valuable asset. So like, what do what environment when you creating and what type of feeling in them is that, creating when they come to work? Or even if they're working virtually, are they excited because, there's incredible incentives to live a healthy and, blissful life. And there's all sorts of things companies can do, Garden is a full service well-being platform, and we have tons of virtual well-being experiences, everything from yoga and meditation to, nutrition workshops to, home office ergonomics workshops. Like these are things that as people that are in charge of workplace culture can offer to your people, and you can really to empower their journey. I mean, literally 1/3 of our life is spent at work. So if our company doesn't support that, like we're going up a really steep hill. But if our company is empowering that, now we're getting some serious speed and momentum because we have the whole organization behind our well-being journey.
Mhm.
Um,
And
so
I just want to jump in. I just want to jump in, Justin. I mean, you're a leader within your company, and you're also like you're giving access to this conversation to your employees. You clearly have that culture. You have a desk that is, meant to exercise while you work. Like you are embodying that from a leadership position, and I guarantee that your peers and your employees take notice of that. So it does come from the top down, and that inspires your employees. So I just want to recognize you and Garden, just because it's such a great example.
yeah, you're giving me goosebumps because my colleague just ordered his own fit desk. Because he hit me up the other week, and he was like, okay, I need to step it up. And, that like just makes me so happy. And, kind of the programming, it's so important. Like if you're going to like every company does some type of programming. So just be really mindful of what you're providing, the perks that you provide, the programming that you provide, it should reflect your company values, your company mission. And if it doesn't, then like people are going to sense that like disconnect between, what you say you're about as a company and what you're actually doing. And the last piece that I kind of want to touch on is the vendor partnerships. Nimai and I were talking about this, yesterday and or on Monday. And the way that I like to think about it is often that like, the kitchen space or the perks, you could kind of consider them like the body of the organization and the type of fuel that you're feeding them. So, for an office kitchen, if you're still working in an office, like, would you want a doctor who's like out of shape, unhealthy, eating garbage, smoking cigarettes, working on your heart? Or would you want a doctor who's like embodying health and well-being, like great shape, lots of positive energy, working on your heart? And like the person who's servicing your various programming events and perks, like whoever you partner with, whether that's Gartner or another company, there's no one right solution, but just make sure their value, vision, mission aligned with your company and who you want your people to be. So, Nimai, we're out of time, and I know you got to catch a flight, and I know people got to get back to work. We are going to release a recording of this, so for your friends who missed it, you can share it with them. I'm going to invite Gary back on to close this out. But real quick, everyone who showed up today, great work investing in yourself. We hope we left you with some actionable takeaways, some inspiration, some energy. Nimai, thank you so much. I know you're insanely busy. The love and care that you have for people and their well-being journey is very apparent. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Again, thank you guys for showing up, not just for this live stream, but for yourself. And I acknowledge you guys. So it was wonderful talking with you.
Awesome. So yes, thank you guys. Such awesome insight. It's also the first time I heard the term earthing. So, and if drinking things like lemon water and waking up early somehow increase my chance of looking like either of you, I'm going to do it. So again, if anyone missed anything, we're going to send out the on-demand webinar link. We're going to post it to our site, and we'll be notifying the winner of the snack box giveaway via email. So thank you again, everyone, for spending some time with us. We hope you enjoyed today's session. I certainly did. And from all of us here at Garten and Veg, take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Yeah, bye now.
And you can follow Nimai on Instagram for way more inspiration. So if you need a ton of daily dose of inspiration, give him a follow. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Nimai. Veg. Thank you, Veg. Thank you, Garten. You guys are so awesome for putting this on. God, we work for good companies.